Hello everybody, Interi back again with another video. Today people, I'm gonna talk about a topic which a subscriber has asked me and requested me to talk about. When should these players, Federer, Djokovic and Nadal, retire, and can they retire as good and as great as Pete Sampras did? We all know how Pete Sampras retired. He won a Grand Slam in 2002, the US Open, and then he called it a day and said, I am retiring. I am not gonna play tennis anymore in this professional level. And should these three guys do the same, these three giants, and can they do the same? And when has these three guys played too long tennis? All right, people, I think this is a good subject, and I'm gonna do a video about this. So let's start this, people. First of all, we're gonna look at Sampras, because we have to look at these situations differently, people. To look Sampras' situation in a way, and to look Novak's, Rafa's, and Roger's situations in a way, because they are not similar to each other. In my opinion, I don't know if you guys will agree or not. First of all, Sampras, when he did retired in 2002 after he won US Open, many people forget that Sampras was actually downhill in his career. He was not on his peak of his career by any means, even though he retired as a king with a Grand Slam title and his 14th Grand Slam title and his last. But he was not on his peak of his career by any means, people. He had a lot of injuries problems with his back. He was down in the ranking. He was outside top 10 in the ranking for his last 2-3 years of his career. And he was not competitive to win the big majors. Not even small tournaments actually, because he didn't win a tournament before that US Open title 2002 since 2000, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, people. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe he won any tournament since 2000 after he won that 2002 US Open. That was the one thing. He had a lot of injuries problems. He was down in the rankings. He was not a threat to win big titles like he was like he was 5 to 10 years before that 2002 title, to say. So Sampras, he felt that his tank was pretty empty when he won that 2002 US Open. Sampras didn't felt in any way that he had much more left to give, people, because if he felt that, he would continue his career. That was one. He didn't have much more left in his tank to give. He had a lot of injury problems, and that was two things. He didn't have much more left to give in his tank. He had a lot of injury problems. And the third thing that many people doesn't realize, my friends, is that I have thought about this. I don't know if you guys have did the same. He didn't have any guy who threatened his Grand Slam record. He was fighting. He was fighting for a long time to get to that 14th Grand Slam title and break the record of being the most Grand Slam winner of all time. So that was his big goal, at least in the last years of his career. I've heard him himself say that. So and the closest guy who was threatening Sampras' record of 14th, we had Andre Agassi with 7 that time, because I believe Andre Agassi had 7 Grand Slam titles when Pete Sampras retired, with 7. I think Andre Agassi won his last Grand Slam title in Australian Open 2003. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Sampras didn't by any means feel that, oh man, I have to continue this because I have a guy who is only 3 or 4 majors behind me and he can take my Grand Slam record. So, no, the closest guy, the closest active guy I'm speaking now, was Andre Agassi with 7. He had half of about Sampras Grand Slams titles. Only half with 7 that time. And Pete Sampras was pretty sure that Andre Agassi would never surpass Sampras' record of 14th. So he had all the reasons to stop people. He was injured a lot, he was downhill in his career, and he was not feeling any threat by any rivals that can come and touch his Grand Slam record in 14th. And he stopped. I have heard Sampras myself say, I never believed that a guy so fast, only 7 years later in 2009, he was speaking about Federer, that gonna break my record. I have never believed that. And little did he know that not only one guy, but 3 guys will surpass his record. Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic later on. So that Sampras had all the reasons to retire that early in his career, as only 31 years old. I mentioned the reasons. He was injured a lot. He was downhill in his career, and he didn't feel any threats by his active rivals that can take his Grand Slam record in 14th. But Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, they are in total different situation, people. They are all fighting to be the leader of the Grand Slam record because they all can feel each other's pressure. Federer with 20, Nadal with 17, and Djokovic with 15. And they are all playing tennis still. And they are all healthy. Of course, Nadal is the most injured player of these 3. He's not feeling like a prima donna, to say the least. But he's still playing tennis, and he will, of course, now in late of his career, pick his tournaments. He will not play 20 tournaments like he did when he was 25 years old. But they are all more or less healthy, especially Federer and Djokovic. But Nadal is the most injured one. I know that. That was the one reason. They are all very competitive, all 3. They are not outside top 10 in the rankings. Djokovic is number 1 in the world. Nadal is number 2. Federer for the moment is number 6. But as late as last year, Federer was number 1 as 36 years old. So they are not in Sampras' situation in the ranking as well. That was 2 reasons. They are very competitive still. They are high in the rankings still, all 3 of them. And the most important reason why they're still playing and why they probably will not retire on top as Sampras, I don't believe that anyway. I don't think Federer, Nadal or Djokovic will retire their careers as Sampras did, because they will play tennis as long as they possibly can. They want to be the best tennis players of all time with most Grand Slam titles, and nobody of these 3 knows which player that will be in the end. And for that reason, they will play tennis as long as they possibly can, even if they get... Federer is the oldest of them. He's 37 years old. Federer will probably play tennis till he's 39 or 40 years old. He will make sure, Federer, that he has done everything in his power to hold back these 2 rivals, Djokovic and Nadal, behind him on the Grand Slam race. And when he feel that, man, I'm empty now, I don't have any left more in my tank to give, when he starts to lose 2nd or 3rd rounds in Grand Slams tournaments, then he probably will say, I will call it a day and I will quit. But as long as he goes to 4th rounds and quarterfinals like he did last year, he was in quarterfinals in Wimbledon, he was in 4th round in US Open, he will not retire yet, I don't believe. The same is for Djokovic and Nadal. They will not retire like Sampras as well. because they want to be the best ever as well. They want to be on top in the Grand Slam race as well. So they will not retire on top like Sampras did with the Grand Slam win and then say, I call it a day, I'm quitting this game now. No, because they have different situations than Sampras did. Like I mentioned before, they are more healthy than Sampras. They are winning more than Sampras still. They have a higher ranking than Sampras, and in addition to all this, they have rivals around them that they are fighting with to be the best player of all time. They have each other. Federer, Djokovic and Nadal, they are fighting to win most Grand Slam titles of all time. For the moment, Federer has that record, but we don't know if Federer will keep that record in 5 years from now. So these three have all the reasons to keep on going, to keep on playing tennis as long as possible, and they have not the possibilities to quit playing like Sampras did after a Grand Slam win. If that was the case, Federer would have ended his career when he won that epic, beautiful Australian Open title 2017 after beating his long-time nemesis Rafa Nadal in a Grand Slam, which he didn't have beaten him in 10 years' time, since Wimbledon 2007. But he decided to continue. Why? Because he knows that he has Nadal behind him and he has Djokovic behind him. And did he do a wrong decision? No, because he won 2 more slams. He won Wimbledon in 2017 and he won Australian Open in 2018. So, of course, his career would have been magical even if he ended in 2017 Australian Open with 18 Grand Slam titles. But it is more magical now with 20 Grand Slam titles if he don't win majors anymore. So that's why people, Federer, Djokovic and Nadal will never end their careers like Sampras did. And I gave you my reasons why. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye.